Hey y'all, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Gains podcast. I'm Amber P,
I'm Alexis Nicole.
and we have Callie Girl with us as per usual. Look at her. If you're watching on YouTube, you like her face right now. She's just
Are
so
you not
unfazed.
impressed? You're like, I was sleeping.
She's not impressed, but hold me. All right, y'all. We are taking it back again. Y'all enjoyed the updated version of the prep before the prep. So now we're going to do the second episode. So when I went back and I looked at the times, so this was September 2021. So this year, the podcast will be 4 years old.
Yeah, that's wild.
That is wild. So for today, we thought it would be cool to do bikini versus wellness because when we did this episode back in 2021, wellness was new. It was not at all what it was today. So we can talk about the obvious differences, how to know like where you fall. And then Alexis is going to give us more history on just how it's evolved from then to now.
Yes, so I think it's clear now
Mm-hmm.
that wellness and bikini are very different. Um, but when we got started, so it came the first year that it was in the NPC was 2020, and it was just like how fit model is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, am I bikini? Am I fit model? I'm not both. You shouldn't be both, but a lot of people tried to be both. So I think comparatively, um, the NPC IFBB have learned that there has to be a line. So I think the way that they implemented the fit model rules this time,
Mm-hmm.
like it makes me wonder if it's like a learning curve from the last time, because the last new division that they brought was wellness, and there was a lot of I'm going to cross over, I'm going to do bikini and wellness. So I think that lengthened extremely how long it took to draw a line and show that wellness truly is muscular legs, not fat legs.
Come on.
And for a long time, it was fat bikini because fat bikini girls were getting on stage as wellness. And that's what it was. Um, and Americans didn't have the muscle. Like they were like, oh, we're going to bring wellness next year. They said that in 2019. And I don't think it was like pushed as hard as it should have been as far as like what the example was. We didn't have a true example. So it was very like muddy waters, trying to figure it out and like picking and choosing and going from there. Um, Whereas now you can't cross over. If you're fit model, you're only fit model and you are to fit that criteria. Um, and then you can do one show, and if you truly aren't fit model, you place badly and you move on and you pick another show and try something different. And I like that because I think it's making it clear much quicker than in the past of what the division is and what they want.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with it 100% because it was really murky there for a little bit. And a lot of girls were assuming that, oh, well, my lower half is bigger, so I'm wellness. And now, I mean, we've been saying it, body fat versus muscle on the quads are not the same. And then also, it's kind of like newsflash, you're not special. Women hold body fat on the lower half. That's just how we're designed.
Yeah, and if you are the girl, because I know there's a lot of girls who are like, "Am I fit model? Am I bikini? Do I want to grow larger, or do I want to trim down and be fit model?" And that was literally me. Like the judges were like, "You're not bikini, you're wellness," and my musculature was nowhere near what it is now. I'm honestly the last time I competed bikini, I was like 129 on show day morning.
Nuts.
My Olympia stage weight was 146, way leaner. So about 20 pounds more muscle. So like then I had there like the concept of wellness, what it was then, is not what it is today. And I think we finally reached a point of what consistently wellness should be. Um, so I've been through this process, and I was the girl who was like, I'm bikini, and I was fighting it. And it's very different, I think, for bikini to fit model because you're going the other way. So, like, they introduced a division that is less muscular than what bikini was. So, the only people who should be switching are those who were not muscular enough for bikini. Whereas in my case, I was too muscular for bikini, so I either had to try to lose muscle or grow some. Like I was in this in between. Um, so it was very much the same as what Fit Model is right now, where there's like, here's the winner, but this is where she still doesn't fit the criteria. And over time, that will improve just like wellness did. As girls take off seasons and follow what the trend is. And some of it's going to be learning curve. For wellness, it was very like at first it was fat bikini, and then it was get your legs as large as humanly possible.
That was not the vibe.
And girls went to extremes to do that at a quicker pace.
Mhm.
And then it was like, ooh, no, this is not good.
Not a good look.
Turned into just quads exploding, and they didn't match the hams and glutes, and it just looked bizarre. Um, so like, okay, no, this isn't aesthetic. Let's try to figure this out. And now we have glute quads, hamstrings in relation to each other equal, but all of that larger than the upper.
That That's a great way to put it. I like that because I feel like that's exactly what got lost with it. It's like we know obviously for wellness, upper needs to be smaller, lower needs to be bigger, but that imbalance where you would see like some athletes where they have like these massive quads, but the glutes just aren't there. So it's like that lower body, it still needs to flow and be in balance with each other. I like
Yeah, and like genetically, we've said before, like wellness kind of chooses you.
100%.
And it's very similar to figure. And all of the classes to an extent have the structure that's r- required first. Um, but you are not going to be successful in wellness if you are forcing your quads to grow and they just grow extremely slowly. Like the majority of the girls at the top of the wellness division right now genetically had a predisposition to be quad dominant. So then that's why a lot of girls you'll see like quads overpower everything. It's because they're genetically disposed to do that.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas you have to make sure that you're balancing the others, and that's what bodybuilding is sculpting your physique towards a specific criteria definition to get on stage with good aesthetic. Um, and like the same with bikini, and I think glutes are a very hard muscle to target and grow for anyone. Um, so I'll see bikini girls who kind of max out their quads and hamstrings. And then it's like, how do I get my glutes? Well, then you have to do isolated glute movements, almost like wellness, but
Hmm.
not to the extent. Like,
Right.
don't blow them out of the water. It's definitely, bikini's going to be capped in size way before wellness. But hear me loud and clear, wellness, you do reach a cap and then you're refining. You should not be growing exponentially forever and ever. It
Yeah.
feels like it because I'm still trying to grow my glutes. But there is like a glass ceiling, and then it's refining and making it pretty,
Mhm.
making the muscle denser without making it bigger, um, or blowing out your shape.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to keep in mind like your shape. That's something that I'm really paying attention to now for me, just simply because like I'm more streamlined now. So my upper isn't as big as it was. So now I'm just kind of watching my lower body to make sure that we're maintaining balance because those are the two things that I feel for bikini. Like your shape and your balance are everything. And I think what happens is sometimes some girls get so hammered in on one body part where they don't look at the full on equation. You know what I mean? And we say it all the time, like, especially in bikini, if you're watching a show and you're looking at a girl and all you see are shoulders, that's not good. If all you see are glutes, that's not good. You want everything to be balanced and you want everything to flow. Your structure is your structure. You can't do anything about your structure. However, you can train. That's going to be best for you. And then posing obviously is going to help as well.
Yes. So I mean, what more difference do you think? I feel like it's very much straightforward now.
Mhm.
Um, and now the not straightforward is bikini to fit model.
Yeah, I feel like that one is going to be a little bit tricky just because they're so close. And when I say they're so close is I'll keep it a buck, y'all. Watching Fit Model right now, to me, it just looks like true novice bikini, which is okay. Which is okay. But also we have to just have some grace because just like with wellness, when things just get started, or any new division, I'm sure in the past, when things just get started, you kind of have to watch it. But right now, because it looks so much like true novice bikini, I'm glad that they have that no crossover, but at the same time, it's just kind of like it's going to be difficult if you're at a regional show and you're looking at brand new competitors. You're not going to be able to tell who is bikini versus fit model at the moment. Now, I do think as
Yeah.
things progress, you'll maybe be able to tell, but and then I also like the thing that gets me is people like don't it irritated me with wellness where people thought that, oh yeah, it's going to be easier because you don't have to get as in shape. No, you still have to be in shape. And the same thing for fit model. Like, look at the girls who are winning the shows. This is not going to be easy whatsoever. So if you think, oh, because they say you don't have to be as lean or you don't have to have as much muscle that it's going to be easier, no, because again, this is also going to play to a very specific body type.
Yeah, I was gonna say it needs a very petite frame,
Mhm.
like small joints.
Mhm.
Um, I have would have even if I didn't grow muscle at the way that I do, with how short and structured my frame is, like my joints are not small. Like Amber, put your wrist
Yeah,
up
my joints are small. Like, see my
sideways.
wrist. Yeah,
Yeah, like I have a little bit more forearm muscle, but like down here,
yeah,
my wrist is just larger.
yeah. And I
And
was getting ready to say that my joints, like, I fit because my joints are smaller, and it's just kind of like my muscle bellies pop. But when you look at me, it's like I am no other division. I am
yeah,
bikini.
yeah. And that's not to okay. Also, before anyone comes in my DMs talking about am I big boned, that is not what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. You're talking about the joint, like like her
Like the
structure. Her
structure
structure.
of the joint, of
Yeah.
how they link in with the ligaments and become like tight, like looser or tighter.
Mhm.
Um, so I just I had that thought in my brain, and I was like, if I'm thinking it, somebody else is gonna message me, and no, that's not.
Yes, 100%. Bikini athletes, we have petite structures. Fit model are going to be even more petite than bikini.
Yes, I think also with the top, what made it confusing is, and what may happen with fit model is those who turn pro in wellness were those with the densest muscle. It seemed.
Mm,
Um, so like in any show, they can only pick from what they have. So if no one perfectly fits the criteria, they're going to choose the person who best does.
mhm,
And sometimes that was like a crazy blown out lower body, but they were the most appropriately conditioned compared to the other girls in their class, or their lower body was great for wellness, their upper was a little too big, but comparatively they were still the best, which then kind of blurred it as far as like everything started growing.
mhm.
Um, and like if you look back over time, the criteria has always said bikini upper body.
Always.
But in 2022, it was
Mhm,
not that. Delts were getting huge. And then they were like, no. And they had examples that fit it better, like Francielle, Isa,
mhm,
and they're like, you need to look like this. And the more girls into the pool that we have that better fit the criteria, the more that those initial girls, their placings are changing even at the
Mhm.
Olympia, um, because they're getting very specific with how they want it to look. So over more time and more time and more time, it will be much more consistent like bikini is, like open bodybuilding is, like
Yeah.
classic physique and figure, especially. Figure is a very particular, like
Mhm.
smaller clavicles, but wide set shoulders, tiny waist. And then you can accentuate that with growing your lats to accentuate the V taper. But if you have a square waist, you're not going to do that well in figure at the top. Like
No,
it's just not going to happen.
no.
Um, so same with fit model. It's going to evolve over time. And that's what everything does. Bikini got to a larger point at one point, and then they introduced wellness, and bikini's musculature got pulled way back. And then I think it's increased a little, not to where it was, but I think fit model gives bikini that room because it's bikini's not the entry level anymore. So
Mhm.
you can have a more like advanced physique if I like, and I compare it to the divisions that have been around much longer than these three, like figure, women's bodybuilding, of course, but even like classic physique.
Yeah.
There's a very specific structure, and those athletes don't try to prep. Hear me if you are this person, if you're a boy listening because your girlfriend's playing it in the car.
Mhm.
If you're classic physique, you have not only been training for 6 months. Like, that's silly.
Yeah.
Those
Like,
guys
what?
those guys train and mock prep and train like mock prep to see where their physique is at, not getting on stage,
Yeah.
just seeing it lean, get into a sensitivity, push again. They're 3, 4, 5, 10 years before they're stepping on stage for a reason because the division is already so matured in exactly what they want. You need to look that part. You can't have mature looking muscle in 6 months. Like it needs to have matured.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, again, yes, you can have the genetics, but you cannot rush muscle maturity. There's no you just have to
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing.
And I think that's a misconception because like one, everyone wants to know is how long is this going to take for me to turn
Mhm. Mhm.
pro? Don't rush to turning pro because you're going to win way less ever again. Your placings will go down immediately. Um, but also from when I started to when I turned pro has nothing to do with what I look like right now.
God, no.
So like you see your favorite athletes and you're like, "Ooh, I want to look like that. How long did it take you to do XYZ?" And it's like, "Okay, it took me this long, but that was 4 years ago."
Yeah.
So, how long did it take me to look like I am right now? 6 years, not counting the density that I had already grown during sports in high school.
Mhm.
So, it's not black and white like that, and if you are someone, which a lot of people are this person, no background in training, no background in sports, um, you bodybuilding's becoming way more mainstream and you're like, "Oh, I wanna do that." It's not overnight. Like, if you want to look good and place well, it's gonna take you a long time. So, if you don't want to do that, don't, but don't expect it to be overnight and don't do things to try to crazy speed it up. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
gonna make you look worse more than it's gonna make you look better.
For sure. I had a consult with an athlete, and, obviously, if you listen to us, we're very straight, no chaser. And, she was like, oh, well, I want to do it by this time. And she's never competed before. And I get it, you're a personal trainer, but it takes time because here's the thing, if you're going to get on stage, this is just my thought process when I'm talking to athletes and they want to prep. I want you to be able to at least hold your own.
Yeah,
I don't want you to do all of this work and then you get on stage and it's a flop because you went to Amazon Prime the situation. It's going to take time. There's no way around it. If a coach
Amazon
tells,
Prime Day.
yeah, no, but that's what a lot of these girls think. I'm just kind of like, no shade. Do you see me? This took like 6+ years. Like before bodybuilding, there were already things that were going on. But my thing is, it's just like, if it took this long, why do you think that you can just do this in 3 months? and still, go eat birthday cake and take vacations. Like, no, it don't work that way.
Yeah, it's like you wanna do XYZ, but you also wanna do this, and a lot of times they are not compatible. So, in the beginning, that is what those first couple months, first year or so is like figuring out how to make your schedule fit around whatever goals that you have, and that's what you have to do with any life change.
Mhm.
But that's what bodybuilding should be seen as a life change, and not like it's going if you want to be elite, it's going to absorb your life. You do things around the bodybuilding requirements. So if I'm going out like yesterday, so yesterday I went shopping. I got I went, to the Woodlands and got stools because I've been needing some stools. I think I mentioned it last time.
Y'all, these
Yeah.
schools.
I ca and I've been picky because I want my house to look good. We've kinda, like, started from scratch, which is very exciting because then I could, like, make the aesthetic how I want it.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm also not a patient person, so it's been frustrating because 'cause I'm, like, can't find exactly what I want, or what I find is, like, I don't wanna pay like, why are stools so expensive?
Yeah,
It's
adulting.
stupid.
So stupid.
So I'm like, I'm not paying $150 for one stool when I need a couple. So, like like I got 3 and that'll do. I could put 5 there and it
Yeah.
wouldn't look bad. Um, but like 3 looks fine spaced out and it's
Yeah.
okay. Um, but I finally found these. They're like very, very nice swivel high back stools. So I got those and they're $50 each and they look brand new. So it was a win on Facebook Marketplace. And then y'all, I went to Home Goods. They're trying to get me here in Texas because everything's in the same shopping center.
Ooh, easy.
Yeah. Um,
Dangerous.
so I went to TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Bath and Body Works because mine likes to light candles and then let them burn up. So I replaced some of my candles. Um, I was shopping for like 7 hours.
Oh, you had a good day. You didn't tell me it was that long.
Yeah.
She sent
But
me the video last night. Look at these glasses. For y'all that don't know, like springtime, Alexis and I go crazy. Like TJ Maxx, that's our thing.
yes. And we needed like tall glasses, but you guys know if you've been here a minute, I cut my knuckle one time because I wash most of our dishes by hand. And I put my hand like in the glass and I was washing it like this and the glass broke because it was one of those like the ones you put on your um registry or like the
Mhm.
gift boxes ones of like 6 tall ones and 6 short ones, and the glass is kind of thin.
Yeah.
So it broke with my hand in it, and now I'm afraid, like, I soak them and then, like, I don't put my hand in there anymore.
Yeah.
Because it cut it, like, almost to the bone. So, I need glasses, but not those kind. So I've been picky, and I've been looking on Amazon and stuff. But I found these, like, you know how, TJ Maxx will have, like, really cool plates and stuff, but they sell them individually, so a lot of times you can't get a set,
Yeah.
or, like, they only have 3 or something. So, um, anyway, they are, like, made in Colombia glasses, but the glass is thick. So, like, you can
Mm.
set it down on the granite countertops, and it's not just gonna shatter the glass,
Yeah.
and they were, like, $6 a piece. So, all that to say, I went
I know
shopping
where
for
she's
7
going.
hours.
I know where you're going. Go
I
ahead.
took my food with me.
Yeah.
I had extra bottles of water
Going.
in the car because 'cause I'm gonna be out all day. So, like, you can do those normal things, but it's around your bodybuilding schedule. You still have to get your cardio done in the morning. You still have to take your food with you so that it's not 6 hours later, now you're starving, and now you're gonna get, like, chips at the TJ Maxx snack aisle because you're so hungry and you're tired, you don't wanna go all the way home 30 minutes before you eat. So, like, you have to plan ahead, and that's probably the most common, like, issues, responses, things that I get from clients. It's like, "I was out longer than I thought I was going to be, so this is what I had." And it's, like, the cleanest thing that you could get at a restaurant. That's okay very occasionally, but it's not okay in prep. Like it you can't do that in prep. So are you just not gonna go do the fun things with your friends that don't bodybuild or then in the off season, or are you just gonna plan ahead and take your stuff with you?
Yeah. And this this is another one, and I'll just say it. Understand that, let's say if you have figured out, okay, I know what division I'm in, I'm locked in. Maybe you've done two shows, one show or two show, you've had your first season, whatever the case may be.
Actually, you'll get a charger. You can keep
Yeah.
talking.
Okay. And you decide that you want to go for your pro card. I think some athletes like the idea of it. They like the idea of getting their pro card. They like the idea of becoming a professional bodybuilder. It is dope. It is an amazing accomplishment. And 99% of the people in your day to day life just simply won't be able to do it. So it's huge. It's a big deal. And then also, I think a lot of people kind of romanticize their favorite pro or athlete that they see on Instagram, which I get, right? There's nothing wrong from getting inspiration from others. But whenever, again, when I'm talking to clients, I always say, okay, are you willing to do what it's going to take to hit said goal? Because a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I want to be a pro. They're saying it, but their actions and their lifestyles just simply do not line up with it. You have to understand that there are levels to this. You've competed, you know what division you want, you like it. Now you want to go pro. Once you say that, that is a whole nother game. Going out running your errands, you know you need to bring your food. If there's an event coming up, you know, okay, either I'm bringing my food or I'm not going. There are just things that become non negotiables when you get to that point of deciding that you want to become a professional. It has to be a top notch priority. And I know it's just kind of like, this is something that I've wrestled with too. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, balance, balance. And I always go back and forth with it. And I don't believe in balance anymore. I believe in harmony. Things just need to be harmonious, right? I understand that whenever I am in prep, prep is my top notch priority. It is what it is. You know, I let my family know here's what's happening, X, Y, and Z. But I think sometimes,
I don't know what that was about. Maybe my computer, it was at 4%, so I don't know if it like started booting stuff out.
oh, that's okay. I don't know. I'm happy I caught it. I paused it because I was like, oh, I don't want to stop it and then it like not get
Yeah.
anything that we just did. But basically, I said all that to say if you are talking pro card, if you have let the words pro come out of your mouth, you need to understand that that's got to be your top priority. There are going to be things that you have to say no to. And it just simply is what it is. If you're someone who's like, oh, balance, 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 balance don't exist, things need to leave and things need to be in harmony. When I'm at home, what's my focus? Get this done. When I'm in prep, this is what's got to get done, period.
Yeah.
And then for girls that may still be in that window of trying to figure out like which division they should be doing, you first of all, if you have a coach, your coach is the one who should be basically guiding you and saying, "Hey, this is what you look like." Obviously, because they have, you know, the sorry words.
Experience.
Thank you. Thank you. They have the experience. But secondly, you know, there has to be a level of self awareness. Like, I feel like in the back of your mind, you kind of know where you fit in, but also something that I tell girls too who tend to kind of like be bouncing between like the bikini and wellness. Do you like training lower body? I don't. If I had to train lower body 3 to 4 times a week, I would scream. I would absolutely scream. Understand that the training styles are very, very different. Wellness lower body training, it's intense. I've seen Alexis train. She's trained me before. Like it's totally different. So that's something that you have to ask yourself. And then that's probably a whole nother conversation. A lot of y'all aren't training hard enough.
Mhm.
But I was there once and it takes time, and a lot of you aren't progressing because you're not training hard enough. You can do all the things, like, just because you're going to the gym, it don't mean that nothing's happening if you aren't putting in the true intensity.
Yeah, I think if you're my client, very rarely do I send a message that, like, intensity is great here, or it might be good on one exercise and it's not across the board. And that's something that also you gain with experience. And the more intense that your in training is, the better your muscle is going to look, especially for a division that you need to be dense.
Mhm.
Um, but that's not learned overnight. And if you train by yourself, it's very hard to learn it long term. So like when I first started competing, the people around me had experience in training. So I learned much quicker than the average novice competitor, but still I learned a new level after my first Olympia.
Yeah.
And like Martin took me through a training, just one training session, and I was like, I didn't
Mhm.
know that this was a thing. So then it's like then like you learn that and you start like pushing that. So and that was what, 19 4 years into my competitive journey after I had turned pro and after I had competed at the Olympia. So there's always going to be levels to it, and that's why there's always room for improvement. Is just finding something that you didn't know. You cannot know everything. If
Mhm.
you're an amateur, you absolutely know like this much of a pie. So like I promise, if you think you know everything, you're wrong. Like if you think you have all the answers, everything that you're doing is working great now, it's working great now, but it's not everything. Like you will find
Mhm.
areas that you can improve, and if you don't, you're limiting yourself and you're just closed-minded because that's
Mhm.
what the sport is. Um, yeah,
Yeah. No, and that's very true. Like, I know my areas that I need to improve in, and that's what I've been focusing on for me, recovery. That's an area that I'm not good at, and I've got to get it under control. But also, I was thinking about when I was making the most progress on my physique, when I was still like what I say, like building the house from the ground up, it was when Lo was coming to the gym with me and pushing me. Obviously, Lo is not a bodybuilder. His background is in football. He played football in high school and in college. So he's not stupid. He's aware. And also, like, he can be a pain in the ass sometimes. Like, he will push me. He's like, "No, you can go heavier. No, you can do more. No, I'm going to help you." And that, it helps. You can't tell me that it doesn't help. It definitely helps. But then also something else too that I've learned, and it clicked with me because someone was asking my thought process on something one time with their training program. Less is more. And when I say less is more, here's what I mean. If you have a program and it's got like 7 to 8 exercises. I'm like, first of all, how are you getting through all of that? Because if I am doing, I typically do 4 to 5 movements and intense mind muscle connection tempo. There's no way I can do 7 to 8.
no, if you're doing 8, you're pulling back on all of them in order
Yeah.
to get through the 8th one.
Yeah. And so I just told her, I said, "Hey, this doesn't make any sense. That's far too much. You're not going to make any progress. And then if you are having to have any little bit of intensity, you're not going to be able to recover." So a lot of people tend to think that more is more, and that's not it. Once I really thought about it and broke it down and gave my 4 to 5 movements my everything, by the time I get to the 5th movement, I'm like, "Whew,
Yeah,
okay."
like, I don't wanna really do this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they can find it, but I don't want to.
Absolutely. So for especially like for a lower body day, I make sure like that 5th movement is something more so like a glute isolation. Like it's not going to be like my hip thrust or a reverse hack squat. I'm not going to do any of that last, but you gotta figure out how to train.
Yeah, it's important, and that's what it all comes to, like, it's ever evolving, you're evolving within the sport, you're always learning, and then the division that you're in is always learning, so, um, you have to be willing to kind of dig your head in and improve where you need to improve, but also keep an eye on the trends and how things are moving
Mhm.
so that you don't go too far in one direction, and that sounds kind of contradictory towards each other,
Mm-mm.
but that's the flow.
But see, I could see that happening for someone who is doing fit model, and if they are a genetic elite person, you would have to watch it because you could cross over to bikini really quickly. So
Yeah,
I
and I
think,
think that's a reason that it's intended as an entry level, because most people aren't gonna stay there. If
yeah.
you truly like training, even if you're not genetically elite, you're gonna grow out of that. That
Mhm.
is a physique that has not had years of training,
Right.
and some of you guys are gonna disagree with me, but if you have, you've pulled back on intensity early. It's not a dense division.
No,
It's
it's
not a
not.
large division, so you definitely have to keep an eye on where muscularity goes or you'll quickly outgrow it, but that's the point. It's like
Mhm.
it's to have criteria for a competitor who wants to get on stage now or hates the look of anything larger for
Yeah,
themselves. And you can get in there, get the lifestyle under your belt, see if you like it, and then kind of graduate up if you so choose, or
yeah,
if your physique chooses for you. And that's just how bodybuilding is.
yeah, absolutely. Your physique is gonna choose some stuff for you. So that's all I got. So that's like fit model versus bikini versus wellness. I hope that was helpful. Let me see. Alexis, you got posing on, openings going on?
Yeah, it's kind of skimpy. I'm gonna open April like later today. Um, and yeah, we're getting into the season. We are dieting and losing fat.
Yeah,
And I'm going to rodeo tonight.
you look leaner. Your face looks leaner already. Nut. So get on her posing schedule. She's taking lifestyle, wellness, bikini, and fit model athletes. I've got my glam schedule open. I have posing available for the Charlotte athletes, and then also I am opening up for lifestyle, bikini, and fit model as well. So all that stuff will be in the links down below, and we will chat with y'all next week.
Bye, guys.